Successful Minds with Patricia Baronowski-Schneider, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet. Hear their stories and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Successful Minds with Patricia Baronowski-Schneider is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Patricia Baronowski-Schneider.
Hello and welcome back to the Successful Minds. I'm your host, Patty Baronowski-Schneider, CEO of Christine Advisors. Today I'm joined by the owner and CEO of Hamptons Tile and Stone, Jason Webb. So our topic today is going to focus on avoiding costly mistakes selecting a qualified contractor. So before we jump in, I'll tell you a little bit about Jason. Well, he'll tell you a little bit about himself, but I actually met Jason many moons ago skydiving. We were both licensed skydivers. And the ironic part about it was that Jason always thought that I had no other job other than skydiving because I was always there. But as the CEO of a successful company, he can now show you how basically if you do your job right, you know what you're doing, you're great at doing it, you have great marketing skills, you can have the best of both worlds. You can have your business, you can have your social life, you can have your family life and all that good stuff. So Jason, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a U.S. Navy veteran. I have been doing tile and stone work since 2007. I began my journey in this industry in the Hamptons. So from jump, nothing less than perfect was acceptable. I mean, the clients out in the Hamptons want what they want, when they want it, and how they want it. And if you can't deliver it, there's another guy that can. So I learned how to interface with the highest level of the industry, from that. For
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, born and raised in Manhattan, but eventually moved to Long Island and have my experience in the Hamptons. And they definitely are high end. They want what they want when they want it, and they want perfection. And I've seen your work. I mean, it's actually phenomenal. And people don't realize what's involved in all of that. So give us a quick rundown of what people can learn from Hamptons Tile and Stone.
Well, what I try to do that's a little bit different than other installation companies is I offer full three-dimensional drawings of bathrooms before I start installation. We operate down to the finest minute detail. Like I said, I do the drawings. We also do story polling. We interface directly with all other trades because every trade interfaces with itself, right? For example, if the plumber doesn't put the rough plumbing in the right spot, then when the tile goes up and the fixtures go on, they're not located in a meaningful position in the tile layout. So there's a lot of intricacy that we work out prior to installation. Prep work is super important. But yeah, the drawings is a really nice way to see what the bathroom is going to look like before you do it. And I can even put like the actual finishes into the drawing so that you can see what this tile will look like in that format. So you can literally see the bathroom before we even start it.
Right. No, I know you've done some work for some people that I know, and it was actually phenomenal where they thought one thing would look good. And you always say, I'll offer my opinion, but I'll do whatever it is you want. And some of the products that you came up with, they were like, wow, I didn't even think about that. And, you could show the end result before it's even done. And, I haven't had one person say, wow, he sucked. Everybody's always like, I want to refer him to my friends. So that's actually a good testament to your work.
Well, thank you so much for that. One of the things that I really feel like benefited me coming up in the industry was starting in the Hamptons because if it can be done, it's done in the Hamptons. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of things, a lot of styles and a lot of details that you find in the Hamptons that you don't typically find outside of the Hamptons. I'm not saying the Hamptons is the mecca of anything, but I'm just saying that the variety of details that you see in the Hamptons really helps prepare you to be able to bring something fruitful to the design table. And I always am willing to lend a hand to design work, and generally people dig what my suggestions usually.
Nice. Okay, so seeing how you're involved in the construction world, can you tell us a bit about the process? Like what intrigues you, what you look for, and how you navigate the process?
Well, the process obviously starts with selecting your contractor, and that is the place that I see homeowners making the biggest mistakes time and time again. There's several pages on Facebook, for example, that are just people posting pictures of horror shows that they've gotten that they spend all sorts of money on, and it's really important to properly vet your construction contractors. You want to see pictures of completed work. You may want to actually see if they can show you completed work, like actually go there and put your hands on it, because there's a lot of times that pictures just they don't tell the story, and there's a lot of guys out there who, they painted for 2 weeks for their uncle, and now they're a tile installer, and the work that they do is just, it really is a disgrace to the industry, quite frankly. And unfortunately, a lot of the work that I do is fixing mistakes that other people have already made. So it is best, obviously, to get a qualified mechanic from the get-go who can facilitate the project, get you the proper quantities, so you're not ordering and reordering, and let you go over all the finishes. There's so many details, and I could sit here for days talking about them. But that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make. So after you've selected your contractor and you have an accord on a price and a timeline, which all should be by law included in your contract, just so you know. So if your contractor wrote you up and didn't give you a completion date, you have you definitely have a legitimate bone to pick there. So demolition, obviously, if it's not new construction, we need to do demolition. We go above and beyond to make sure that we keep everything as clean as possible, especially in a situation where the clients are living in the home. So site protection is really big. I'm big on that. Once the rip out is complete, we start with roughs. So that's when we get the plumber in, the electrician, all the rough plumbing and electrical work gets done. Any type of reframing, if that's applicable, gets done. For example, like your shower niche, we need to frame that in. After that, we get the walls closed back up, and that's when we're ready to start rocking and rolling with the tile.
Nice.
Most bathrooms, average size bathroom, we'll call it 140 square feet, probably looking at 2.5 days for tile. And you're, generally speaking, as long as materials are available, I can do a bathroom from soup to nuts in 7 days.
Wow. That's actually pretty impressive, because I've known people who've gone, like you say, they'll get like a contractor who claims they know what they're doing. They'll come in, they'll take everything apart, and then I guess as they realize they can't really do the job, it goes on for weeks. And I know you've come in and repaired a lot of that stuff. And I like your motto where you say there's no problems, only solutions, where people come in and say, well, this is what I want. And I know from experience, other people, like we've wanted some stuff and people have said, can't be done. And you're like, let's talk about it. How can it be done? And so, I like that.
I always think back to one of the first projects that I managed in the Hamptons, where we did, everything was custom. So what it instilled in me is that not only am I a tile setter, but I'm also an engineer. Because, we did all sorts of custom drainage situations for wall-mounted vanities and, custom. But here's the light fixture, and the light fixture is supposed to get nailed to a 2x4, but our ceilings are stone. So how are we going to make it work? You know what I mean? And that's it. It's a perpetual, how do we make this work? Battle.
Yeah, so that's one thing that people, should know, that it's not just tiles. There's a lot more involved in it. And I like how you get involved with every aspect of it to make sure that the job is done, like you say, from, soup to nuts, that there's no hiccups along the way, because it's not like you can start something and then halfway through realize, oh my God, I don't even know or the electrician comes in, or, whatever comes in and says, oh, we can't do that. You've already covered that from the beginning, which a lot of people don't do. So
Right.
that's great.
And then again, one of the biggest things about how the quality of the finished tile job is the preparation and work that goes into it.
Right.
And that's something that I would tell to homeowners, if you have a project going on, ask questions.
Right.
If you see something, say something. Don't look at it and say, oh, well, I'm sure when it's done. If it doesn't look good in the process, it's probably not going to look good at the end. So don't be shy. Let your contractor know you're unhappy.
Yeah, and it's important to do every aspect and research it and organize it additionally, because I know people who've, gotten stuff done and they didn't incorporate every aspect of it. So now the job is all said and done. It's like, oh, wow, that looks awesome. And the next thing you know, it's like 6 to 8 months later, there's a crack because something wasn't even, or they didn't realize that, something else was going on behind the scenes that had nothing to do with the tiles. But, if you don't really incorporate every aspect of it, that's going to affect the job. So that's actually really cool that you do that.
Here's how easy it is to ruin a $10,000 bathroom, right? Say I'm a contractor. I go in there, I'm putting up my sheetrock, and I'm using sheetrock screws, right? Well, now I put up my cement board in the shower, and I'm still using what? Sheetrock screws, because they don't know any better.
Right.
So what happens is you put white marble on that, and sheetrock screws, they're not galvanized, so they rust. So you could have a $10,000 tile job in your shower with expensive, beautiful material, and then 6 months after the installation, what are all these rust spots coming through? I've seen it 1,000 times.
Yeah, it's a shame when people don't really realize what's involved, and that's what a lot of these unprofessional people take advantage of, because they know that the average person, you don't know all the ins and outs of this. You trust me,
Right.
what I say, and you just assume. So I think, it's not like you say, you just can say, okay, I've done a bathroom for my uncle and my aunt, but you have like so much experience and so many high-end people that you've done this for, and you can show the before and after. You could even get references. I know you have a website that lists some references and things like that. So, I mean, that definitely goes a long way.
As a general rule, I don't disclose the exact names of clients that I've had, but I did work at a very prominent DJ's house that lives in the Hamptons. You could probably guess. I've done work at a who's who list of celebrities in the Hamptons, and the reason that they came to me was because of the quality that I deliver.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in life, you get what you pay for. And, I've actually done some little webinars on that myself. And it's not that, people, and it's not crazy. It's not like you're charging these astronomical prices. But one good thing is that you stand behind what you do, and your reputation speaks for itself. I mean, anybody in the Hamptons, or even outside of the Hamptons, when they talk about this high quality work, everybody says it's got to be Jason. I mean, people, they stand behind what you do, and that's awesome.
That's awesome. Definitely. The heart and soul of my business is the contractors that I work for, and they come back because we do the right thing by them. And that's the way it's got to be done.
Yeah,
100%.
for sure. Yeah. So tell me, what's one tool that you carry in your toolbox, no matter what project you're working on?
Well, I think as a contractor, most contractors would answer that with measuring tape, because that's definitely the most versatile tool in the bag. It can be used as a hammer. You can use the front as a screwdriver, and then you can measure stuff with it too. So,
well, see, you just taught me something. I did not know that. That's cool.
yeah.
Okay, so what are you most excited about right now?
I've got a couple of projects that are kind of outside the box that are coming down the pipe, that we're looking forward to doing some slab work, because not only do we do tile, but we also do slab work. And then just so it's clear, the services that we offer are package A, where you have a contractor, you have a plumber, you have an electrician, you have a I come in at the end and do the tile work.
Right.
Contract B is where we act as the general contractor. We facilitate the tile work as well as the plumbing, the electrical. They're done by those trades, right? I don't come in and do your electrical. An electrician comes in and does it.
Right.
But if we're operating as the general contractor for the project, we handle the whole thing soup to nuts.
Okay. Now, what is slab work? Tell me a little bit about that.
Slab work is large format stone,
Okay.
available in a variety of different materials, generally used flooring, countertops, fireplaces,
Okay.
tub decks, toilet pads, shower jams, all of that kind of
Right.
stuff. We can do slab on the ceiling. We can do book matching. So when slabs come out of the quarry, the painting, they're cut like this, right? So they split. So at that point, there's a mirror image on both sides of the slab. So there's really cool ways you can incorporate those book matches into the design element of the bathroom or kitchen or whatever. So that's another service that we offer, is full photo layouts for all slab work. You get to see what pieces of which actual slabs are going to be used exactly where in your bathroom or whatever it is.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yep. And to the best of my knowledge, I'm the only one that offers the drawing services in the tri-state area.
Wow. So I like with the drawing, because a lot of people, don't realize what's, a lot of people will say, okay, this is what I want. But then you could say, or I like how you do say, I'll do what you want, but here's why I would recommend doing this instead. And some people don't realize that, because like I said, even in my business, you can give me an opinion and I'll do whatever you want. But I think with my 35 years experience, I know a little something about what I do. So I could say, here, I'll do what you want, but here's why I'd recommend this. And you offer that. And I think it's, super important, because again, people have an idea in their head about what they want, and it could be beautiful. But again, you know the ins and outs of it.
You know what's equally as important as finding out what you do want through the drawing process is finding out what you don't want. And with it being fully three-dimensional, with all of the fittings and finishes in it,
right,
you can see it and say, I don't really like this. We need to go a different direction. And we have an unlimited, amount of revision we can do in a drawing process before we have stuff on the wall,
Right.
So.
Yeah, because if you started it and then you want to change it, that's where expense comes in. Because, nothing like doing all the work and then saying, yeah, let's just start all over.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So what has fundamentally changed about your work from when you started until now?
There have been a multitude of technological advances in construction in general, but there's things like Schluter-Dietrich systems and different types of waterproofings that have been created now. There's the setting materials are getting much better. But yeah, there's just a lot of solutions for old problems, new solutions for old problems. Nice. Example, they make now a shower niche that instead of it having to be wonderboarded and everything else, it's actually a one-piece unit. You can tile it in the back of it anyway before you even put it in.
Wow.
And yeah, it's just, things are becoming more convenient. That's what it is. We're always striving to make things easier. Floor heights used to be a substantial issue because a minimum dry pack mud bed's 3/4 of an inch. So a lot of times that would bring floor heights up too high. People didn't like that. Well, now there's systems where they replace that mud bed, and we can do the floor lower now because of technological advancements in the industry. So it is very exciting.
Wow. It's funny, with the technological advances, I'm always talking about, advances and evolving and AI and all that good stuff. And you see how, I actually saw a video not that long ago where they said robots are basically taking over the world and how it's going to take away jobs and all that good stuff. And yeah, like you're saying, yeah, a robot can come in and slap down all these tiles and do all this, but they know the background of why this would be better or how this will, that's where the experience comes in. So robots are great, but they're never going to take over completely because they don't have the skills and the experience that you have. They could read about it, but that's not the same.
Well, my perspective is when you hire an experienced contractor, you're not hiring them necessarily just for their skill level. You're hiring them for the mistakes they've already made.
Yeah.
Because in order to find out something's not right, you have to do it. You know what I mean? So that's why, thank God now getting into 20 years in the industry, I'm running out of mistakes that I can, I've made them, and I've benefited in hindsight from making mistakes along the way.
Yeah, that's what I have the one YouTube channel, and I called it "Been There, Done That," because like I said, 35 years experience. You name the mistake, I've been there and I've done it, and I just give you free advice on the mistakes I've made to try to help you. And that's important because, like I said, you could read about everything, but it's not the same until you're actually doing it. And like you say, the experience comes from learning from the mistakes, because what you read in a textbook might be great for like a specific type of scenario, but until your hands deep into it, it's not the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the biggest problem that you or your team solved in the last year?
Well, like I said, every bathroom is really a series of challenges trying to make different things work. So it's hard for me to pick something in particular. But like I said, one of the things that I'm constantly running into is I show up at a homeowner's house. Example, I showed up at a homeowner's house. This was when I was operating in California. I got to the guy's house. His contractor had one wall. This is a 4-wall master bathroom. One wall was finished tiled. 2 walls were ripped out without being even reclosed. One wall wasn't even ripped out yet. So these are the kind of thing where I'm saying, if you see something, say something. If it doesn't make sense, ask, get a third perspective, call it a third party. It's so those types of situations. And I wound up fixing that for that guy. I had to rip the whole thing out because what the guy did was so all over the place. There was no way to save it. But yeah, so we saved that guy.
I know you mentioned one time about a lady who had gotten conned by some professional, and you kind of came in and helped her out.
Yeah, there was a lady who was doing a countertop, and she got told by a contractor that they could remove her countertops, bring them back to a factory, polish them, and all they did was wax them, and they were worse when they took them than when they brought them back. So we had to remove her countertops and have them repolished the correct way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Fun. Okay, now what's something about your industry that surprised you lately?
Something about the industry that surprised me. So one of the things that has surprised me consistently throughout my tenure is the skill level that there are people calling themselves mechanics at. Again, all you have to do is Google bad tile work, and you'll see and those pictures that are there are real jobs from real people who find real crooks. So it's super important that you select. You would think I'm putting 6 tiles here horizontally. They'll look like 6 tiles here horizontally, no matter who does that. But that is not the case. Do your due diligence.
Yeah, people don't realize. I know my sister actually had a bathroom done at one point, and I guess whatever tiles she had were like Home Depot tiles, and then they stopped making that particular tile. So whoever was doing the job for her didn't know what to do, and they were just kind of like, yeah, we'll be back, and then just left her hanging for the longest time. So now obviously it's in a shower, it got mold, and everything had to be taken down. And then of course, it was just an entire mess. But again, it's kind of like, I hate to use the term you get what you pay for, but it was just some, local person who, was doing a favor, and how much did that work out? It's definitely important to go with qualified people.
Yeah. If you, obviously nobody who's been doing tile for 30 years is working for minimum wage. So you have to buyer beware. If somebody's offering to do a job for you at a price that doesn't seem to make sense, that's because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, the crazy part now is, like, I always keep saying, like, since post-COVID, nobody wants to work anymore. And even back then was that when she was looking for somebody to help, like, nobody, it's like it was tricky because nobody wanted to do it cheap. They wanted to charge crazy money, but then not do the right job. And so, even I wouldn't even use price tag as a measuring tool. I would just basically tell people, do your due diligence, check out, qualified people. And even, some people would say, okay, I know you don't want to give names, but like just a client list, like who would be your ideal client? Because people, again, just don't hire any Joe Schmo off the internet, or your local, guy down the block, because, unless you have, verification that they've done successful work, it's not always good.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
What I usually suggest to people, if you're proceeding towards starting a project, is
Right.
whatever rate, whatever job you're looking to hire out, I'd recommend getting 3 bids.
Yeah.
3 separate contractors. Take the top one, throw that in the garbage. That guy's trying to rob you. Take the bottom one, throw that in the garbage. That guy doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
The middle one, that's the one you want.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, it's the world we're living in now. So now, what's one of the biggest challenges in the industry facing, that you see facing today, and even in 10 years from now?
I don't have the crystal ball. It's hard for me to forecast. I mean, to identify something that's petty, that's a problem in the industry. Large format tiles are more often than not cupped. So it's real important if you're doing a bathroom and you wanted to do, say, a 12 by 24, you take your tile face to face and touch them together. Okay. If you can see a space in the middle,
right,
the tiles are bowed. Now, why does that matter? Because if I do a stacked pattern, in other words, they're in line with each other, then they'll match. But if I do a running bond pattern, then the high part of the tile will be at the low part of the other tile in the next row, and it starts to become difficult. So you need to make sure that your materials are of the quality that you need them to be for the installation that you have picked.
Right. Now, I know someone else I knew that the tiles, they hired somebody cheap and they weren't like babysitting what they were doing because they left them to do the job. And I guess what they did is they just put the tiles over whatever was already there, and under there wasn't necessarily level. It apparently had other peel and stick tiles or something in some spots, but not in the other. So now, like you say, it's not completely level. So what did that do? Eventually it starts to crack.
If your tile guy can't do a mud job, then he's not a tile guy. That's don't get me wrong, there are definitely circumstances where a mud floor is not required, but the benchmark of whether or not someone is an actual tile installer is a mud floor, 100%.
Okay. All good to know. Now, if you can go back and give yourself one piece of advice about business, what would it be?
I could give myself one piece of advice. Take your time. Take your time. And what I mean by that is, for a new business owner, it's not all gonna jump in your lap on the first day in business. You know what I mean? You have to take your time, you have to be patient, and you have to do the right thing by your clients, because at the end of the day, word of mouth is the best way to get your message across. The thing is, I think I read, for every 10 people that you piss off, pardon my French, they will tell 18 people. Right. But for every 10 people that you do a good job for, they'll only tell 2 people. You know what I mean? So people are more inclined to go and tell somebody that you did a bad job than if you did a good job. However, what we can do to circumvent that is don't do a bad job.
But even still, I know, even with the marketing aspect of it, a lot of people will just do the job and just ask for family and friends to kind of spread the word. But, I like how, you're doing marketing, you're getting feedback, you're doing this podcast, you're, really try to do before and after pictures and getting client testimonials. I mean, you're basically doing the extra work and showing the world that, I'm proud of what I do. This is what I do. Look at how great I did. And, you leave it to them to decide. It's not about, I always tell people it's not about you. It's about the people that you're, servicing. And if they're not happy, like you say, it's, definitely going to fall upon you.
Well, I'll tell you, at every job that I do, there is a running photo gallery on the internet. So I mean, if I weren't doing quality work, I wouldn't even be able to do that because I wouldn't be able to get any business after a job. So I definitely stand by my work.
Yeah.
I'm definitely available to the client beyond just the installation. Exact case in point, I went to the tile store with the last client that I did. We helped them pick out all the material and everything. I'll give my input. Whatever we can do to accommodate, we do for sure.
Right. So now, I guess talk a little bit about. So you said it's not just floor tiles; you also do ceiling. And so tell people a little bit more about everything that you do. So if somebody's looking for, let's just say they just bought a place and they just need a little renovation, what are some things you could do?
Yeah. So again, we offer demolition services. We do tile, stone, indoor or outdoor, not masonry stone, but like slab stone. Then we do drawings. We're also, I've also had a couple of clients who already had builders and they just didn't know if they were doing the right thing by them. So we've also been used as consultants on other projects just to kind of supervise and make sure that the client's getting what they pay for.
Good. That's all good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you said you don't do masonry, you could, obviously contract that to someone who was doing it. Yeah.
Correct. We subcontract. We do general construction work. So in other words, you can hire me to renovate your kitchen.
Right.
Yes. But I'm being forthcoming when I say that I'm going to be doing the tile and I'm going to be subcontracting the rest of the work out to qualified individuals from those trades.
Nice.
But gives you the ability to just relax. I will take care of it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We will take care of it.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Jason, how can listeners connect with you?
So, I am available. You can contact us through email at Hamptons Tile and Stone @yahoo.com. Our phone number is area code 201-985-7759. We have a Facebook page. The number that I gave you, you can text or call, and we set you up an appointment. We do our estimates are completely free. And I think I covered it. Right? Yeah.
Okay, so Jason, one last thing to just clarify. I know it's Hamptons Tile and Stone, but you do work with people not only in the Hamptons, but pretty much anywhere, correct?
Yeah, we do work in the entire tri-state area. Okay. Absolutely, yes.
Nice. So
Hamptons was more of an homage to the quality level that is expected in the Hamptons. I bring that with me, and that's why the name comes too.
No, that's all fine. So, obviously in the tri-state area. Now, what if somebody was in New Jersey? Like, let's just say I have a sister in Connecticut or a sister in New Jersey. I mean, is that something you'd consider just so people would know?
Out of state, we do accept work and on a case-by-case basis. Okay. I mean, obviously, if your sister-in-law wants to get a 4-foot by 4-foot foyer done, I'm not going to fly to Hawaii for that.
Right.
But yes, within reason, we are available out of state as well.
Okay, nice. So yeah, I know real estate is becoming like a hot topic where people are, buying these fixer-uppers, fixing them up and selling them. So obviously, Jason is a good person for this. So I'm going to put your contact info on the end of this. But again, thank you for being on the show, Jason. This is Jason Webb of Hamptons Tile and Stone. And, obviously, thanks for listening to Successful Minds with Patty B. Never miss an episode by subscribing here. And you can also listen by Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Patty, thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
Thank you for listening to Successful Minds with your host, Patricia Baronowski-Schneider. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we'll see you on the next episode.